Why, hello there, I'm Professor Joel, and welcome to another episode of Planet Scooby Reviews. Today we are covering the creepy creature of Vulture's Claw, which is episode 10 of season 3 of Scooby-Doo Where Are You, or the Scooby-Doo Show, depending on how you want to view it. And it originally aired on November 11th, 1978. In this episode, we see the gang visiting the Botanical Gardens of Vulture's Claw, and it's a really cool place. It looks really cool on the map. It looks like a bunch of peninsulas and islands that are in the shape of Vulture's Claw. So really cool stuff. It even scares Shaggy when he looks at the map. And they arrive at night unannounced, where they are visiting Velma's friend, Professor Grier, and it's a surprise to him, and it's also a surprise to the gang as they run into a 7-foot tall praying mantis creature. Not much trivia for this episode other than it's the first episode where we see Daphne and Velma sitting in the back of the mystery machine. That's never happened before. It's normally Scooby or Shaggy and Scooby sitting back there. Also, there's a reference to a trap manual that Freddy has, and that's rather cool and interesting. Anyway, enough of my jibber jabber. Let's get on with the review. The episode begins with a cool overhead shot of a peninsula of some sort in a shape of a vulture's claw. We zoom in a bit and are brought to a gigantic mansion where the postman is knocking on the door. The postman is looking for Professor Grier, but is soon scared away when a giant human-shaped praying mantis figure emerges from the bushes.
Professor Grier!
The postman tries to drive off, but his truck won't start right away. We get some cool shots of the creepy creature, and then we cut to the mystery machine on the road. Inside the mystery machine, Shaggy's a little worried about the name Vulture's Claw Botanical Gardens as they look at the map to see if they are close. And close they are, as the panicked postal driver nearly sends them off the side of the road with his hurried driving. Stopping the mystery machine to collect their breath from the close call, Freddy spots the gate to Vulture's Claw Botanical Gardens, and they realize they are there.
We've got to be getting close to Professor Grier's Botanical Gardens.
Vulture's Claw Botanical Garden. Take it easy, Shaggy. It's just a name. Vulture's Claw Botanical Garden.
Ooh, this is really creepy.
Velma figures out the truck was in an awful hurry to get away from this place. Outside the gates, they also meet an angry man who shouts at the gang for trespassing. The gang explain they are there to meet Professor Grier as he's a friend of Velma's. The man introduces himself as Harry Keeble, the caretaker, and he reveals that he's been the caretaker there for the past 20 years and that they should leave and take Professor Grier with them. Walking into the gardens, Keeble mutters that there's something loose inside, something big and something evil.
Where do you think you're going? You're trespassing.
Professor Grier is a friend of mine.
Well, I'm Keeble, Harry Keeble, caretaker here for 20 years. There's something loose in the gardens.
Walking into the gardens, Scooby and Shaggy get separated and run into the creepy creature. A small chase occurs and they hook back up with the gang, where they explain that there's a 7-foot tall bug in the garden. Professor Grier then shows up and Velma explains that they were in the neighborhood and just stopped in. Professor Grier hurries them into the mansion as he explains they are in danger.
It's Professor Grier.
Velma, there's a creature loose in the garden. Well, you must leave at once. I've been trying to catch the creature for weeks now.
But where did it come from, Professor?
Follow me. The creature appeared right after I took over Vulture's Gardens. It scared everybody else off.
In the mansion, the gang head down to the basement where he explains the creature came out when he took over the Botanical Gardens. In the basement, Professor Grier shows the gang a secret science lab where he found one science entry where a failed science experiment happened that turned a man into a giant praying mantis.
This diary I found indicates that someone made a fatal error in an experiment and was changed into a praying mantis creature. The change affected his mind.
There's only one entry in this diary.
At the same time, we see a man eavesdropping on the gang, and a mishap occurs, causing Scooby to run into him. Caught in the act of eavesdropping, The professor explains that this is Clive Dickerman, a real estate agent who's been trying to buy the property. With the creature running around, Dickerman suggests the professor should sell the land. Professor Grier explains he doesn't own the property yet and wouldn't be able to sell it. He does not want Dickerman to get the property as he just built houses on the land, ruining the natural landscape.
This is Clyde Dickerman, kids. He's a real estate developer who's been trying to buy Vulture's Claw from me. I don't own the property yet, so I couldn't sell it if I wanted to.
Grier tells the gang to spend the night, so Scooby and Shaggy head off to bed while Fred and the girls go outside to look around.
Right, Daphne. What do you say we do a little exploring on our own?
I'm with you.
Yeah, baby.
Who can sleep with that creature running around?
Shaggy's plan is to hide out in the bedroom, and it fails as Scooby and Shaggy run into the mantis creature. We get our typical Scooby and Shaggy chase scene hijinks for several scenes until they fall into a secret cavern. There they find some sticky goop and are chased out by an angry alligator. In the episode they say crocodile, but given that this creature is in a tunnel or basement or whatever, it's probably an alligator as crocodiles tend to stick near large bodies of water. In the basement, Velma examines the diary entry and explains that there's something bothering her. She just can't put her finger on it yet. Freddy says it's weird that there is no identification on the diary, which is also quite strange. From the bookshelf, the professor's assistant, Eric Arby, emerges. Eric Arby ran off when the creature came, but he came back to help the professor out.
I'm, Eric Arby. The professor's assistant? I ran away when this creature began terrorizing Vulture's Claw.
What are you doing down here?
Checking things out?
To hide, you mean?
Freddy takes a dig at Eric and mocks him for hiding, but Daphne suggests they should all work together. Velma examines the science equipment and notices that nothing is even connected. Nothing's even gonna work here.
A lot of it isn't even connected. This equipment looks pretty suspicious to me.
On cue, Scooby and Shaggy emerge from the secret passage and complain about all the terrors they have overcome. The creepy mantis growls and Eric Arby runs off. Chasing after him back upstairs, the gang run into a hallway where Daphne is snatched by the mantis.
There's no sign of the mantis either, huh?
Freddy figures out the place is a maze of corridors, so they wake up Professor Grier so he can help figure out where Daphne could be. Looking outside, the gang spots something moving in the garden.
There's something moving around in the garden.
And run out as Professor Grier stays back, promising to catch up after he changes.
I'll be with you as soon as I change.
The gang nab the floating light they spotted and they have captured Dickerman, the real estate agent. Dickerman runs off and the praying mantis creature emerges, which chases Freddy, Velma, Scooby, and Shaggy into the caretaker's cabin. The gang find Daphne in a closet and untie her. The caretaker then walks in once again and he tells the gang to take the professor with him and get the heck out of there.
That mantis brought me out here to the caretaker's cabin and left me.
So, you're still here, are you?
Walking into the mansion, the gang notice they've tracked in oily footprints. Professor Grier shows up and Velma sees he has oily footprints as well, which makes no sense as Professor Grier never went outside.
Wait a minute. This is all starting to make sense now.
Outside a window, they see a silhouette of the mantis creature, so Professor Grier runs off as the creature growls. The mantis barges in and Freddy yells out Plan 46 to Shaggy. Shaggy consults his trap manual, where Plan 46 refers to giant insects, and he traps the mantis in a chandelier that drops from the ceiling.
Shaggy, Plan 46!
Plan 12? No, that's for sea monsters. Plan 33? For ghosts. 44?
46?
Yeah, here it is. Plan 46 for 7-foot insects.
Freddy is about to pull the mask off and shouts out that it must be Harry Keeble, the caretaker, but Harry walks in and says it isn't him. Daphne figures out it must be the real estate agent, Clyde Dickerman, but he walks in and says nope. Shaggy guesses the meek Eric Arby, and he cowers in and says it isn't him.
Now to find out who this really is.
It's not me.
It must be Clyde Dickerman.
It's not me either.
It must be Eric Arby.
It isn't me.
Velma rips the mask off and reveals it's Professor Grier.
Then who is it?
Professor Grier.
But why?
She explains a real science experiment would have had equipment that was hooked up together, and the diary entry would have been more than one entry, which is a dead giveaway because Professor Grier would have realized this too. Velma also explains she suspected Professor Grier because he tracked in oily footprints, which never should have happened because he was never outside. The mantis they saw earlier when they were talking to Professor Grier was just a cardboard cutout with some tape recorded noises. The real estate agent, Dickerman, knew there was oil on the property and he wanted to buy it. Professor Grier soon found out about the oil as well after he took over, so in order to buy the property, he created the mantis creature to scare off any potential buyers until his deal to acquire the property went through. With another mystery solved, the gang head off on their next adventure. I give this episode a 10 out of 10. This episode is fantastic. We get a pretty cool, unique, and creepy monster with the mantis creature. He's like 7 feet tall. He's a little bit cartoony, but I didn't mind at all. I thought he looked awesome. And the creepy mansion is full of all these secret passages. That's cool. It's got that secret lab in the basement down that stone spiral staircase, and there's an alligator behind some panel and in some cave that has oil and such. And I loved all the side characters. I recently watched a movie, well, not recently, it was like last year. I watched a movie called Knives Out, and it had like a similar premise to a degree, not exactly, but this episode in that movie are like an old-fashioned Agatha Christie novel because you have all these suspects. You have that surly caretaker who Freddy pins on the mystery right away, even before he knows there's a mystery. That part was hilarious. And there's that shady real estate agent who, you just don't want to like that guy. And there's that meek but suspicious assistant who, you don't think it's him, but it might be. So my first time watching this, I had no idea it was Professor Grier because he was a friend of Velma's. And you'd think Velma would have better taste in picking friends, but I guess not. And there are some Shaggy and Scooby gags in this, but they're always kept spooky because they're always on the run from the monster. And I just love that. And we get the trope of Daphne getting kidnapped. There's that cool scene where she's just grabbed and then she disappears. We haven't seen that in a while. And then, there's lots of cool shots of lightning going on as characters are walking around. And they look at the window in that one scene and they see like the lantern just moving by itself outside because it's kind of foggy. They can't see who's holding that light. Very, very cool stuff. And the scene where Freddy's like, Plan 46, and Shaggy whips out that book. Man, someone really, like I said, has to get on making that book because that's something I would love to read. Also love the opening with the postman. This is poor guy's just trying to deliver a package, and then Professor Grier's in this costume scaring the heck out of this poor kid, and it's probably an important package too. He probably needs that, and the guy's car won't start, and it's kind of tense. So that tense opening really made this episode a winner for me. I'm not sure if it's my favorite of season 3. It might be. We'll find out in 5 weeks when I do my overall review of all the episodes, my ranking, because I only have 4 more episodes of season 3 to review. So 5 more weeks, I should have my ranking video out. Anyway, I want to once again thank everyone for all their likes, subscribes, and reviews. It keeps me motivated. I'm happy to see and watch my channel grow because it is a lot of work, and it's just nice to know that, people like Scooby-Doo as much as I do, and they're interested in what I'm doing. So thank you very much. You put a smile on my face every time I look at how many views my videos get. So thanks again. And until next week, when I will be covering the Diabolical Disc Demon, stay spooky.